So
Just got back home after doing
I found Callum's tool. This is going to be a bit of a disaster because, oh shit. Ugh. There's dead things up there. Hi.
Hi.
Just a question. How do I get the ladders down in the loft?
Just a pull out and down.
Ugh. Okay, I've got it. Great. Thanks. Great.
What do you need? What are you looking for?
One of my FEA boxes.
Okay. It's on top of the stairs. It'll be dark, but you just turn those 2 switches on it and turn the light on.
Oh God.
What happened?
The bloody thing, the hatch.
You didn't do it again, did you?
It just fell off. I'm not sure if this is safe. Here you go. Crazy. So we are about to begin a new decade, which is crazy, but it's also really exciting that we get to think about what we want to make happen over the next 10 years. But it also really got me thinking about, well, where was I at this time 10 years ago? And what have I actually accomplished over this past 10 years? And so I kind of have mapped it out as a little story timeline to share. It's such a fun thing to do, so I would highly recommend you think about where you were at 10 years ago, like what was happening in your life 10 years ago, and what has your story looked like over this past 10 years, and have you achieved the things you've wanted or have you not? Because right now we're on the cusp of another 10-year cycle. So now you get to get more intentional about what you want this next 10 years to look like and how you're going to make it the best 10 years ever. So I want to take you back to what my life was like 10 years ago. So it all begins here. So this is a Christmas card from the Prince's Trust, signed by Prince Charles. Well, not actually, but like it's his signature on it. Basically 10 years ago in 2009, I was a business mentor at the Prince's Trust, and it was a time in my life where I'd built a successful business, which was unlocking phones, which really bored me to death. And I was just so miserable building this business because I wasn't passionate about it. And so in 2009, I was trying to figure out, like, what is it that I'm passionate about? And I knew that I loved helping other people. So that's why I signed up as a volunteer to mentor for the Prince's Trust. I also signed up as a volunteer at an animal rescue sanctuary because I loved animals. And I was doing these things, but I was just like, there's something missing in my life. There's this big hole, like this isn't what I'm meant to be doing, but I wasn't sure what I was actually supposed to be doing. And it got to the point back in 2009 where I felt so low and I felt so confused and lost. I was getting heart palpitations, I just felt really down and I didn't know what to do. I actually in 2008 had the idea to create a platform to inspire women in business, but kept thinking, who am I to do this? And so I feel like I was just avoiding starting that idea because I was doubting myself. So I was like trying everything else to try and figure out what I was meant to do. And it just kind of left me feeling so lost. So to go from that at the beginning of then 2010, I took a trip to Australia. So I travelled to Australia by myself because a friend of mine was travelling over there. And I was like, right, I'm so miserable here. I don't know what the hell I'm doing in my life. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I feel like I don't know what my purpose is. And so I just thought, oh, well, best thing to do, pack my bags and go to Australia in the hope of having an epiphany. So that is what I did. I travelled around Australia for 3 months and had absolutely no epiphany whatsoever. Came home feeling even more confused than before, and I was just like, what am I doing with my life? I just felt unbelievably frustrated and confused. So then 2011 rocks around and I'm feeling more miserable than ever because it's another year that's gone by and I'm confused again. So I ended up rereading The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, which is a brilliant book. And in this book, he has a chapter called Primary Aims. And in it, there's an exercise where basically he gets you to imagine it's your funeral and he gets you to ask questions to yourself about, if I died with my funeral, what would people think about the life that I lived, the person that I was? And I realized that, like, I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to be this person that feels miserable, that feels stuck, that feels lost, that feels confused, that's going round and round and round in circles year after year after year. I don't want to do this anymore. And I just got so fed up with my own crap, I realised enough is enough. And there was actually a quote that I came across by Tony Robbins, and he said, in 10 years, you'll surely arrive. The question is where? And I thought, oh my God, don't know where I'm going to arrive in 10 years. And it's not about saying, okay, in 10 years, I'm 100% going to arrive here. But it's actually opening yourself up to go on an adventure to make that 10 years the best 10 years. And at that moment in time in 2009, 2010, at the beginning of 2011, I was stuck on this cycle of, I don't know, I feel stuck, I feel miserable. And so that literally became a self-fulfilling prophecy that I was living year in, year out. And so I decided that I was going to go on a mission. I called it my Mission Success Challenge. And I decided that I was going to challenge myself to see what would be possible if I conditioned myself for success. If I literally stopped the self-limitation and I thought, what could I achieve? What could be possible if I just go for it? If I just allow myself to dream big and to try and live the dream life, but what does that even mean? And so I bought myself this journal and I began writing in it. So at the beginning of it, I wrote The Diary of a Female Entrepreneur 2011, and I just began writing out like my story up until that point. I came up with the idea for FEA in 2008. And I just kind of wrote out like how I was feeling, and I made the decision that I was going to commit to figuring out how I was going to do it, how I was going to live my best life, how I was going to achieve incredible things, what I actually wanted to achieve, what I wanted to make happen with my life. The moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. Whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it. Boldness has genius, power and magic in it. Begin it now. And I just kind of decided that I was going to do it. I've written in here, it took my attitude to change before I could do it. And when I got this journal and started writing and decided the life I wanted to live, the business I wanted to build, and the success I wanted to create, I decided that one day I was going to turn this journal into a book and get it published with Hay House, and that was part of the vision. And so I just got clear and I got excited. It was like a weight had lifted. All of a sudden I gave myself permission to just go for it. And so I set off on this success challenge to see what would be possible. And so then in 2011, I finally, after 3 years of sitting on it, launched the website for the Female Entrepreneur Association. I built this website myself on WordPress, and I was so proud of myself, and I got it out there. Followed a couple of months later by my first event, my pre-launch event, where all these incredible women came. I think we had 60 women there, and it was so much fun. I contacted the local media, the Manchester Evening News came, they took pictures, a photographer came, and it was amazing. And then I just focused on getting myself out there. I literally networked like a crazy person. I was like down to London on the train all the time, and just putting myself out there, putting the message out there. I'd never done it before. I'd never had the guts to put myself out there like this before, and I was finally doing it, and it felt so good. And then in 2011, that year, Friday, July 15th, 2011, the Telegraph published this article that was all about the Female Entrepreneur Association. A new online hub aims to fight isolation among business women. And yeah, so I had this article, and this felt like such an incredible moment for me, because it was like, finally, I'm moving my life in the right direction. I made this decision to create success, and all of a sudden this was proof that it was happening, that I was actually on my way to making incredible things happen because I was getting myself out there. And so like the more momentum happened, the more I kept dreaming big. And so then at the beginning of 2012, I began working on a digital magazine, This Girl Means Business. And in, I think June of that year, we launched it, and I was interviewing people like Kim Kiyosaki, Michelle Mone, Louise Hay, like Marianne Williamson, all these amazing women I was interviewing for the magazine and getting it out there. And then the next step in my journey of like, how do I create more awareness? How do I get this message out there? How do I spread this message further and create an incredible community? And so I decided that I was going to start doing videos. You know, when I started videos, I had no idea what I was doing, and I was so petrified. And I look back on some of the first videos I made, and they're absolutely bloody awful.
And then I sent him a really light-hearted, nice, short email just saying how I'd really enjoyed reading his article, and then I told him what I was up to and why I thought that he should write a follow-up piece based around what I was doing.
I was so awkward, and it was just terrible. But I was just determined that I was going to figure out how to get better and better and better at it, and just keep putting my message out there. And having the videos out there and being consistent with it, doing one a week since like 2012, has helped me so much to spread my message. It's like a web of videos now online that people find and still discover. Like, people are still discovering videos I put out there in 2012, and that's how they're finding me and FEA. It's been so powerful. So then, after I started making videos, the autumn of 2012, and I was nominated for an award called the Changemakers, and I was up against, I think, 26 other incredible entrepreneurs, and I won, and I couldn't believe it. So Prince Andrew gave me the award, and then I got a helicopter mentoring session with Lord Bilimoria, and I had visualised this moment over and over and over again in the run-up to the award, every single day, every night before I went to bed. Really? Must you? Don't bark. A couple of months after that, I totally ran out of money because I was so focused on just wanting to serve my audience and just provide things for free that I didn't have anything left. And I stopped running my first business, and I just wanted to give. I just wanted to inspire people. And I've kind of had this warped belief that if I started charging for things, that I would become out of alignment with my goal and my intentions with building the platform in the first place. Crazy how we have these money blocks. So come the end of 2012, I was like, I need to work on this. I have to work on my mindset and get out of my own way. So I began to work on my money blocks, and amazing things started to happen. I started to do joint venture webinars with Lewis Howes and Amy Porterfield and James Wedmore, and it was just incredible. And at the time, I was also just really focused on growing my audience and like creating an amazing community of people. This is actually one of the printouts I made back then of a goal, and it was like, I changed it so on my Facebook fan page I had 100,000 fans, and I was just focused on like really growing myself, really growing the business, really getting it out there. And then 2013, I was still focused on getting myself out there, and this is actually a letter from the House of Commons because they invited me to speak at an event they were hosting for International Women's Day, which was again an amazing milestone, because it was like I'd gone from this person that was so lost and confused and so afraid to do something to like speaking and being invited to speak at the House of Commons. I was like, what, this is crazy, how have I even got here? And then following on from that, at the end of 2013, I finally plucked up the courage to actually launch my membership site. And it had been on my goal board for a while, and I've been too afraid to do it because I kept thinking like, what, people don't want this, what if this is crazy? And then I finally did it. And since then it's grown to over 5,000 members, and it's just been the most phenomenal experience. And then after that, in 2014, I was invited to do a TEDx talk. Now, this was on my vision board as well. I really wanted to do a TEDx talk, and I was invited to do it, and it was in front of nearly 1,000 people. I was bloody petrified. And it's been since viewed by nearly 7 million times on YouTube, which is incredible. And then following on from that, in 2015, I received an email one day from the commissioning editor of Hay House in the UK saying that she'd been following me for about 6 months and was I interested in doing a book. And I was like, what? This has been on my vision board for a really long time. Hell yes, I want to do a book. And so then the journey with Hay House began, and writing my book. I struggled like crazy to actually write the book because I was getting in my own way so much. So from like 2015, finished writing it in 2016, it was just a crazy process. But in between that, I was again working on building up my audience and just, you know, working on like making something so amazing that they loved so much. And like, I keep all the letters and the notes that people send me to say, you know, of how FEA's impacted them, which is incredible. And then in 2017, my book came out, and it was just the most surreal thing walking into a bookshop for the first time and seeing my book on the shelf, and then like going into every bookshop I walked past and seeing, is my book in there? And this was just the most phenomenal experience. And it's crazy, kids, so much of what I have written in this has come straight from my journal from 2011 that kind of shows the journey and the process of getting to this point and creating the success that I've created, to then finally making my dream come true of actually creating a physical product and like creating our planner, which has been amazing to actually do this and to have something that I can physically like touch and hold that I've created. And so this has been an amazing journey. And so it's insane to think of like where I was at back in 2009 when I was just down in the dumps and feeling so low and lost and confused and had this idea but I was too afraid to do something with it, to then finally making the decision that I was going to turn my life around. And like, I challenged myself to create so much success, and to think of like at this point in time, that decision changed my life, because from that decision has flowed all of this stuff, all these amazing experiences and amazing success. It blows my mind to think of like where things are at today and what's going on. And so I think for me, I would say to you is, where were you at 10 years ago? And what has your journey looked like over the past 10 years? And it's like thinking about all the good stuff, all of the stuff that didn't really go to plan, all the bad stuff, you know, learning from everything, creating so much awareness as to why has the last 10 years gone the way it's gone, and soaking all of that up. And then thinking about, okay, well, what do I want the next 10 years to look like? And it's not that you have to have a crystal clear picture of what it's going to look like, because things are going to change. But it's about getting really intentional about creating success, living your best life, building the business of your dreams. That's what this is about. So take some time now to start focusing on, where will I arrive in 10 years? Like, where do I want to arrive in 10 years? And even if it's that you start by thinking, well, I know where I don't want to arrive in 10 years. I know I don't want to be in the same place I'm at now, or I know in 10 years time I want to feel like this. And just start thinking about that. And then you can start to create this picture for yourself, this timeline for what you want to make happen, and start focusing on it so that you can make sure that 2020 is an absolutely incredible year where you can kick off this next decade in the most incredible, magical, inspired way possible. It's been really fun to like dig out my journey from the past 10 years, so definitely do it for yourself and just see all of the cool stuff that's happened for you and all the lessons that you can pull out of it. So in January, I am going to be teaching all about how I created my own Mission Success Challenge, and how you can too, because this for me changed my life. It radically changed my life, and I know it can change anyone's life to do this stuff. And so in January, I'm going to teach how I did it and how you can too, so that you can make sure that this next decade is your best decade ever, and 2020 in particular is your best year. So if you are up for joining me for it, it's going to be so much fun. Definitely sign up to the waitlist and you'll be the first to be notified as soon as we've got more information on it for you. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. Definitely take time to think about where you were at 10 years ago. In fact, leave a comment and let me know, where were you at 10 years ago and what has been your biggest lesson that you've learned over this previous 10 years. And I'll see you next time.